What is up, you guys, and welcome to episode 81 of the Lombard Trucking Show, where I'm coming at you live from Gila Bend, Arizona. I had to look up the pronunciation of that word, Gila Bend, Arizona. And as you can see right behind me, sorry, it switched. You see, I'm at my regularly scheduled recording studio here, the traveling studios here at the mobile Prima Vista. And I'm glad to be back, on the road. I pumped out a lot of episodes while my truck was down, and I felt bad having not posted. I have guests lined up. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to rip, and then I'm back on the road. I've been in the zone, auto zone, and I was going to record this week, and I've been meaning to record this one, especially a solo one to recap everything, talk about what's been going on. But this week on Sunday started the 8-week summer transformation challenge within the First Form app. And so I started going live on TikTok on Monday. And I actually got some last minute drivers on TikTok to sign up onto the app, have me help coach them through hopefully what could be a great 8-week transformation for them on a weight loss journey. And I'll be here with them along the way. But what ended up happening is people liked that I was going live on TikTok and talking with them and engaging. What's crazy is a lot of people tune into these lives because since I've been down for a month and a half and have had a couple of great events happen with the media, my follower account on TikTok has finally crossed the threshold of 10,000, which allows you to monetize that on that platform. So very exciting. So it gets me into the algorithm a little bit more with drivers, with people who are into the Trucker Talk algorithm. And so people were on these live streams on TikTok, and I invited my very good friend Justin from Freight Waves. He would come with me because what I was doing on them was to promote walking. Like, hey, you got done driving for the day, get out of your truck, let's go for a walk, come walk with me. And Justin from Freight Waves joined me, and he jumped on, and we would just talk and engage in conversation, and we'd engage with the commenters. And a lot of the commenters were people who were new drivers, people who were also about to test for their CDL. They'd be like, hey, my name's so-and-so, I'm in Texas, I'm in Cali, I'm here, I'm about to test out for my CDL. What's your advice? And it was actually incredible because, as you know, I'm on a war on multiple fronts. And one of those wars is against the life coach, course selling, get rich quick, passive income fucking gurus that we have all over social media. That they have not helped the industry. They have aided in the double brokering that's been going on. It's aided in the turnover. It's brought in not the best quality of people who have started businesses, and it's kind of screwed up the market. So I don't like the course people, the get rich quick, the G faces and their gold money counters. And so it's awesome that these guys were tuning into a live stream with somebody who almost has 2 decades of driving experience than me out here with 3 years. And so sometimes I still come face to face with this imposter syndrome. I don't have that anymore ever since I started going on these live streams now, because I just had to realize just how far I've come in 3 years. I spend a lot of time talking to people all over the industry. And these people ask me questions on TikTok Live has had me reflect on how much I've learned in such a short amount of time in just 3 years. And in the podcast, it's even less, because I started the podcast is barely 2 years old. So in this short amount of time from having this conversation, I have just learned more and soaked in so much knowledge, listening. You got 2 years in one mouth for a reason. Spend time listening to other people's experiences and evaluating it. And I've realized that although I'm still learning, I feel very comfortable and confident letting these new drivers know some good information. And it was awesome to have them tune in. A couple people would comment, I saw you on the news, XYZ. The positivity I've been receiving from these lives has been great. And that's the thing. New drivers, there's still a lot of new drivers entering the market. You hear us come on the show and talk a lot about the CDL Milling Industrial Complex. My piece on News Nation, which I will touch on in a moment, I talk about the ATA's fake narrative of the driver shortage that they've been pushing for over a decade. So this is still going on. So there still are people coming into the industry, getting their CDLs, who are eager to learn, and they don't want to make the mistakes that they've been seeing these past few years. in the trucking industry because they've been seeing people's nightmares on TikTok. They've been seeing the bad, the bad. All the good they've been seeing is the get rich quick clowns, and all the bad they've been seeing is how miserable it is, the market X, Y, Z. So they're asking about companies, and as you know, the mega carriers who are the ATA, who are our enemy. I'm able to go ahead and tell these guys, hey, stay away. So it's been awesome. That's why I haven't dropped any episodes. That's why I wanted to come live tonight, because I got a fire inside me, and I've had it in me all week. And it all comes from that piece that News Nation allowed me to come on and do and speak on last Friday morning on Morning in America. And I got to give a quick shout out to Mike Rush from KXAN, because I believe News Nation picked up my podcast from the piece that Mike Rush did, that we did on truck parking, because he highlighted this show on that news piece. And what's crazy is I got a Facebook message from a gentleman I know up in the Des Moines area in Iowa, and he asked if I was up there. Because he said he saw me on the news, and I was like, oh no, I'm not sure. I was like, was it about parking? And he was like, yeah. So that story was actually syndicated, a local news story out of Austin, got syndicated up in Iowa, because the podcast clips that were shown on that news mentioned Iowa a lot. And I think so it may have gotten syndicated more places too, because truck parking is a hot topic. There's legislation going on right now about funneling money into the states for truck parking. So it's a hot news item for some of them. And that's where I believe News Nation picked it up. I received an email from one of their booking producers. So they found my podcast. They want me to come on Morning in America and talk trucking. Very, very excited for it. I'm glad they had me on. I have been invited back. And what fires me up the most, not just having the opportunity of going on a national news morning show, but what I was able to say on there in such a short amount of time. And like I said, I've been doing this for 3 years. So let's recap. The ATA, the American Trucking Association, has been around for over 90 years. They have been an organization for over 90 years. They have tens of millions of dollars that they use to lobby in Congress. That they're a money machine. They're the largest lobbying group in the trucking industry, and behind them by a mile is OOIDA. OOIDA barely even can scratch at the surface of the kind of money that the ATA has. They lobby to Congress with it. They have Congress members bought and paid for with it. And what that does is that then has Congress pass on what they think that the FMCSA should do, and it's this vicious cycle of the ATA, the FMCSA, and members of Congress. And so they've been around for 90 years. They've been pushing the driver shortage narrative for well over a decade, upwards, according to OOIDA, 3 decades. They have been pushing this driver shortage narrative. Want to keep that money going, to keep their churn and burn system going, so that way they can maintain control. So hold up real quick. Been an organization for 90 years, tens of millions of dollars, have members of Congress bought and paid for. Lombard, 3 years, been out here, less than 2 years doing a podcast. I have fucking $0. I have absolutely no money. But you want to know what I have? Are some really great fucking friends. Awesome friends, people that I've gotten to meet and talk to over the years, like Justin from Freightways, like Rachel Premack, like Daniel Kors, like Steve Myers, Truckers for Christ, who's just dropped a comment on there. Thank you for being here, Steven. All these people, everybody I met at Mass. I have all these people. And in that amount of time, I had clawed my way up onto national news to absolutely eviscerate their narrative. I am a fucking pinprick into their decades-long balloon and shattered it on national news. And multiple sources are sharing it now. CDLLife.com has reshared that message. Truck and Hustle, who has over 126,000 followers on Instagram, have reshared this story. Their narrative is being busted wide open, and we're nowhere near close to slowing down, because even though we're making progress, the FMCSA is turning up the heat too. They want to put the hammer down on things like automatic braking. They're not slowing down. They took one look at me and they said, nope, we got to keep going. We got to keep doing what we need to do to maintain control. We can't just let these little media things slip up and go on. But that just goes to show you what you can do when you stay consistent. This is not a brag. Like I said, I give every single ounce of credit to my friends. Would not be here without the conversations I had with them. Would not be here without the people I've met at Matt's, because they're the ones who have motivated me. They're why I'm making the show. They're why I'm doing this whole thing. I give all credit to that. This isn't a brag. But what this is a reminder of what you can do if you stay consistent and you stay the path. This is relative to your fitness goals, your job, your career. If you want that promotion, if you want that raise, if you want that new job, if you want to lose weight, if you want to run a marathon, you have to stick to it. When it comes to, I did not go from 275, 280 pounds to 5 marathons in a year and a half overnight. This has been a long process. What you have to do is you have to look at what's in front of you. Look, if I want to win the Super Bowl, what have you got to do to win the Super Bowl? You have to play 60 minutes of football, right? Can you do all of that at once? Absolutely not. The quarterback can only take care of one play at a time. And that's what you do. So each day is a win. And that's what has happened since we'll just say 2 years since the podcast. Is every episode is a win. Every conversation is a win. Every tweet, every time you keep the conversation going about the truth, because that's what matters most, is the truth, is how you continue to stack these wins. And it comes at a great time, because what's crazy is a year ago, the 10,000 on TikTok, not even in sights. I've crossed over 7,500 on Instagram now. None of that was close. Nothing. I probably had 200 subscribers on YouTube. Absolutely not. I'm still nowhere. I'm still just a little loudmouth prick, fucking Guido, talking shit, all in freight from state to state. But last year I made a video and I recorded an episode called Fix Bayonets. And it's because what had happened was, and this goes back to the YouTube grifters, the course sellers, the get-rich-quick gold money counter people. So last summer, when shit hit the fan, when rates were starting to teeter tumble, when fuel was $6 a gallon, I paid, I think, $6.30 something in Pennsylvania at one time. When shit started hitting the fan, all those YouTube clowns who group these big flat platforms on how to make it in trucking, all that stuff, who all rode the COVID wave, all those people started disappearing. They dropped the fuck off quicker than fucking you name it. Gone. Ghosts. And that pissed me off, because I listened to their YouTubes to take their advice. Now, I didn't buy my truck to make money. I bought a truck to start a business. I didn't get into trucking because I saw it as this big money machine. I got into trucking to restore a brand and a legacy that made my family successful when they came to this country. And that's what I'm doing now, is I'm still continuing to build that brand. But I wanted to listen to their advice because a lot of people were listening to it. But then when shit hit the fan, these people had hundreds of thousands of followers, and they just abandoned fucking ship. Gone. Absolute ghosts. And that pissed me off, because here you are, they've monetized what they do for a living. They monetize on trucking outside of just hauling freight. They're on the internet making money for videos they make. And then when they can use that, because with that platform, the media will pay attention to you. They'll start listening to you. They'll say, hey, holy shit, this guy's got 100,000 followers. And he's talking about XYZ. He's talking about the driver shortage. He's talking about FMCSA. Well, hold on. Let's not go to the ATA. Let's listen to this guy, because he's got over 100,000 followers. These people up and left, gone. So last summer, that's when I made the episode. I recorded Fix Bayonets. And that's what I did. Is a year ago, I fixed bayonets, and I didn't fucking back down. And we're not going to slow down since. What I'm really proud about is, since then, what's been happening, what was happening while I fixed bayonets, was the starting of CDL Drivers Unlimited, CDLDU for short. It's an organization, grassroots organization. It is a bipartisan organization made up of truckers. We have members in all 50 states. We have a great backing of people, and this is over 2 years in the making, and we're already making friends in Congress. Like I said, this is a war on several fronts. So we not only have to take on the ATA, these are different entities we got to take on, even though they're all the same bunch, kind of like in World War II. you had the axis. It was three of them. That's kind of what we have. We have an axis of evil that we need to take after: the FMCSA, members of Congress, and the ATA. They're all on the same team, but you got to take them all at once. You couldn't win World War II, up off the rip. Couldn't do it just in one day, right? It took some time. So that's what we're doing. We're making friends in Congress, and things are starting to happen. So if you're listening to this right now, number one, we have a representative from Oklahoma, Josh Brasheen. He's introduced Bill H.R. 3039 to prevent the FMCSA from mandating speed limiters. Call your representatives and make sure to get that out there. And now here's something I'm going to say that I thought about not saying it, but because here's the deal, is this bill should already be on the floor and be voting, but it's not, because it's one of these transportation bills. It doesn't make anybody any money. And here's what's going to end up happening. If you can't tell in my voice, I get absolutely floored over this stuff. This stuff fires me up. I have made the fatal mistake of going to the neither here nor there. But what's going to end up happening is I may have to make an eventual run for Congress. Not at the state level either, because people always say, oh, you might need to start off small. I'm not fucking starting off small. If I'm going to make a dent, if what we're doing now at CDLDU, if what I'm doing now with this show can go no further than today, it's going to end up with me having to run for Congress. Now, I plan on staying where I live for quite some time. I have no imposter syndrome on going this, because some people will say, well, Texas is different. You weren't born and raised in Texas. Well, my former representative, Chip Roy, another douchebag who sucks, who's anti-trucker, who grew out a goatee because he actually looks like a penis without it. He's from fucking Maryland. He is a Marylander. He is a rich aristocrat douchebag from Maryland, and then he worked for Ted Cruz. He did all this stuff, and now he's a member of Congress. So I don't care where I'm from, and this has to do with what happened with because I heard back from my congressman about HR 3039, and I wanted to read this to you, because this just goes to show what we're up against. Because now this guy, Greg Casar, like I said, and I've said this on episodes before, I don't care about party. I don't care about Republican, Democrat. I don't judge anybody off who they voted for. I think that that's toxic. I think the fact that people have gone to family members and say, you support XYZ, so I can't be your friend, is absolutely fucking pathetic. We need to put an end to that. So I don't care about party. This guy, Greg Casar, I've been following him for quite some time. He was on Austin City Council. He seems like a nice guy. He's a young cat. He's a progressive Democrat, cares about the working class. Well, let's see how much he cares about the working class when somebody, a constituent, a veteran, business-owning constituent in his district, reaches out to him about a bill. Let me just read it real quick. Dear Mr. Lombard, thank you so much for contacting me about your concerns on transportation issues. Your input makes a big difference. It helps me understand which issues to prioritize, and it helps inform my decision-making. As you know, HR 3039 would prohibit the FMCSA from moving forward with a rule that would impose speed limitations on certain commercial motor vehicles. FMCSA put forward this rule after studies showed that speed was a significant factor in fatal crashes, and speed management as a primary tool to reduce serious injuries and fatalities. Lie number one. He just spoke to me like I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not just a concerned citizen who's curious about traffic because they're going to build a new playground down the road. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And then this idea of studies. What studies, Mr. Casar? What studies? Who funded those studies? That's the real question. Let's ask that question of who's funding the studies. It goes on. I understand your concerns that this new standard will impact the workforce, and I will keep your thoughts in mind should the bill come to the floor for a vote. Currently, HR 3039 has been referred to the Subcommittee on Highways and Transit. While I'm not a member of that subcommittee, I will keep your support of this bill in mind. The safety and rights of all Texas workers is a top priority for me. I've worked hard during my few months in Congress to hold corporations accountable for their treatment of all workers. The concerns you have for truck drivers is helpful information as I continue to fight for all working Texans. Thank you again for contacting me. I'm always interested in hearing from my constituents, and I'll keep your concerns and recommendations in mind as we move through this Congress. For up-to-date information on what I'm working on, please sign up for my newsletter. So that is a regurgitated, not hand-typed, not handwritten message of basically a, hey, Mike Lombard, go fuck yourself, is exactly what it is. And so when I get that back, look, I understand these people are busy. I get it. They're busy. They have a lot on their plate. But you know what? Give me the courtesy of a phone call so we can have this conversation. Because let me tell you something. If you're fighting on behalf of all working Texans, do you know how many motor carriers there are in Texas? Do you know how many company drivers there are in Texas? Do you know how many logistics companies are based in Texas? That's a lot of working Texans. I'm worth the conversations if you're fighting for working Texans. Because here's the fucking deal. Is what those speed limiters will do is only make things worse in the industry. So those studies you're talking about, I can guarantee you those studies are funded by the Trucking Safety Coalition and the ATA because it fits their narrative. So I don't want to hear it. You want to fight against big corporations? Hello? Do you know who the big corporations are? What have I been talking about for the last 21 minutes? These are the big corporations to be fighting against, Mr. Kazar. So here's the thing. So if you're not going to listen, and I said this about Chip Roy last year because he decided not to listen. If you don't want to listen and talk, then I'm going to come for your job. And here's the thing. I don't care if it was referred to some committee. That's a fucking cop-out. It was referred to the subcommittee. Well, you know what? If I was in your shoes, here's what I would do. If it was referred to that committee, I'd call the first motherfucker who's in that subcommittee. And I would say, hey, I got Lombard Trucking here. He's breathing down my neck over this. We need to talk. That's what I would do. Because that's the thing. I'll stir the pot. I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have to worry about that. That's the thing. Sounds like Mr. I Fight for the Working Class is still a little worried on who he can bet on who he has to back. So that's the thing. If that's going to be our communication, then I'm going to come for your job. Because that's the thing. I know for a fact, a goddamn fact, I can walk into that office and do a better job than anyone who's sitting on that House floor right now. I have the utmost confidence that I would do it. And I'm not saying that because I'm naturally a people pleaser, because I know that what I say and the things I do piss people off, and they may not agree with me. That's fine. Don't agree with me. Have the conversation with me then. That's all I'm trying to say, is have the conversation with me. But man, you can tell I'm fired up. Back on the road. Look, we're back at it. I enjoyed my time being home. It was very good. I got a lot done. I got myself a fitness certification. I'm working on another fitness certification. Things have been going really great. God has been good. He's honestly truly blessed that everything's been happening with News Nation. But the fight will not slow down. I'll be on the road for a while. I have some guests lined up. I'm looking to bring Rachel Premack onto the show so we can talk about what's going on with the Teamsters, UPS. We can talk about what's going on with Yellow, because all that is very, very important to me too. Because me personally, I'm pretty open about this on Twitter. I'm all about striking. I think that Amazon culture in this country has made us weak. Let's go back to March of 2020 and see how people cried over toilet paper and paper towels. Come on, are we kidding me? If we had another Pearl Harbor tomorrow, what would be going on? If China strafes Taiwan tonight, if China drops into Taiwan tonight, and Taiwan's semiconductor goes down, this country will absolutely fucking flip a shit. They would be going nuts. You wouldn't be able to get your store shelves would be empty by the time you left your apartment building. And it's Amazon culture and the on-demand society that's done this idea of whatever I want in 24 hours. So I'm all about 25% of parcel capacity shutting down. Shut it down. I pray almost every day that every truck driver in America would wake up one day and not turn the keys, so people can truly learn a lesson, so people can truly learn what it is. Because the only way to grow is by suffering. The only way to become better is through suffering. And we have truly been blessed in this country. I was just talking to my good friend Gord recently on the phone, and that's the thing. That's the problem with the trucking industry. Is what has happened is when the boomers were primarily the truckers, and then post-deregulation, they were taken advantage of because they were raised in this just work hard, get the job done, blah, blah. That mentality was taken advantage of. Well, the rest of society sort of progressed in wages and benefits and in pay and all that sort of stuff. Truckers didn't get that. Gen Zs and millennials have watched the previous generation. They've watched the boomers and some of the Gen Xs lose their families, die of chronic disease, and have their wages cut and get no time off and not even be at home. That's another factor of this driver shortage. So they're fooled into entering the industry, then they learn the truth, and then they quickly scurry away. So that's the thing. Drivers have been taken advantage of. I think the miracle of the American supply chain, which is unprecedented to the rest of the world, is something that goes very, very underappreciated. But hey, look, really appreciate you guys who jumped on the live stream. I wanted to keep this one short and quick. Just know, keep that on your radar. I think I may actually start talking to some people on what I need to do to actually run for Congress, because I don't have any reservations anymore. They're going to go on Twitter and they're going to find out that I'm a big fucking Napoleon worshiper. And you know what? People who don't like Napoleon are normally losers. They're normally people who hate winners. They're normally people who would say, like, you're going to talk about somebody who had the most genius brain of the millennium. And you're going to be like, well, according to this British guy, it was like this. And yeah, they're going to raid all the funny things and the joke I say. Let them have it. I've already, the Pandora's box has been open. I'm easy to find. I've already been on the media, so you could find, they said my show, they say what I'm about, they said what I did on national news. I don't have any fears. It's either you're with me or you're against me. But if you are against me, at least come have the conversation. So Greg Kassar, hope you hear this, because you're on notice, buddy, because we're going to hold you accountable. Because that's the thing. With what we're doing at CDLDU, with what we're doing at CDL Drivers Unlimited, is we're going to start holding members of Congress accountable. Because, hey, look, if you're not actively supporting these bills, if you're not actively supporting this legislation, what that means is you are against driver safety. It means you are pro adding stress to the workplace, which reduces safety, which means you don't care about people dying in fatalities. You don't care about accidents. You don't care about mental health. That's the thing. You can't in one breath in your email tell me you want to take on big corporations and fight for working Texans and then feed me bullshit about some fucking study and then not cite the study. Like me, you know that I'm a business owning, truck driving constituent in your district, and you're going to tell me about a study and not cite it. Unreal. I wasn't fucking born yesterday. That's how members of Congress view the American people, though. They view us as plebeians. They view us as nobodies. They think we're uneducated pieces of shit. He'll go walk in the picket line for the union or something and say, hey, I support you, because he knows come November they're going to walk in and check his box. That shit is going to change. We're going to start holding these people accountable. So I hope you ride with me. I hope you're with me the whole way. Please. If you are interested in coming on the show, please reach out. I'm trying to talk to as many drivers as possible in the shortest amount of time possible. We need more driver stories out there, because that is the only way this is going to continue to succeed, is to keep the story going. But like I said, I try to keep this short. I'm live right now. So Twitter Spaces, if you have Twitter, go on Twitter Spaces right now. Follow me, follow Reed at Lost is Reed, because we're going on Twitter Spaces on our Lost Freight Twitter Spaces. We had a lot of fun. We're talking all things supply chain, logistics, Napoleon, you name it. And hey, look, I really wish I could have recorded last night, because I was right outside. Las Cruces. And if you have a CB radio, you should know the name well. But there's a gentleman out there. He calls himself Mud Duck in the Desert. That's right. That's right. Safety first. Another day in paradise. You know, be nice to one another out there while you're rolling and strolling on those highways and byways. If you have a CB radio, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you know what? For being such a shit talker he is and a troll, I'm going to put it out there right now, Mud Duck. I'm stealing one of your slogans. I'm going to say it right now. Thank you all once again for listening. I appreciate you so much. If you could share the show, let's keep this momentum going. And with that, guys, back to the bench.